Hello, welcome to my channel. Just like a whole lot of other people, I also got hooked to the Indian matchmaking series that's currently on Netflix right now. And it's always just so interesting to see how much they have in common with Nigerian weddings. I work with a lot of Indians, and from just talking to them, I've become aware of how much we have in common. And it's just interesting how this series kind of um, confirms that we have so much in common. Like when it comes to marriages, our culture is so similar. So after watching this show, I came up with 10 similarities we have in common with Indian marriages, from the beginning, with finding the person to the wedding itself. We have so much in common. So number one is family is involved. So when it comes to marriage, just like in the Indian culture, where family is a big part of it, where they feel as though it's two families coming together, in the Nigerian culture, it's the same way. To the point where, like, sometimes they also want a say in who you pick to marry. Um, Number two is arranged marriages still exist in Nigeria. So just as in Indian culture, where arranged marriages is a big thing, in Nigeria, arranged marriages is still a thing. You know, like there are people that um, marry to protect the family money. There are people that marry. Um, there are people where, like, the family picks someone for them to marry, or someone like an auntie, uncle, or whoever finds someone and tells picks them for them to marry. Like, it's not forced upon you, but there's a lot of marriages that's still arranged. And I know some people where they're in America and their parents or family member picks someone for them in Nigeria to marry, and then the person comes here. So in our culture, arranged marriages still exist. Um, so number three, family tradition and culture plays a part as well when picking your spouse. And I noticed it with them as well. Like I was hearing a lot of people say that they want someone whose culture is very similar to theirs. Like they dated other people, they dated people outside their race, but then when it came to marriage, they wanted someone who is from their culture, or from where they're from. And I know for us too in Nigeria, it's a thing too. It's heavily um, pushed upon for you to marry someone that's also from your culture, your tribe. And for us too, a lot of like the young Nigerians who are here, some value that thing where, when it comes to marriage, they want to pick someone that's from their culture, because sometimes it makes it a little easier. you know it makes it a little easier when it comes to like raising the family, because you guys already have a similar background. You don't have to really explain too much to them, because they understand. Like they understand the tradition, the values, and all of that stuff. And it just makes it easier, even when it comes to planning the traditional wedding, all of that. When it comes to involving the parents, it's a little easier when you guys already have an understanding. It's a little easier when you guys are already similar in that aspect. Number four, wedding is a big deal. I don't know if it's as big as it is in the Indian culture, but in Nigerian culture, it is a big deal. Oh my God, people go broke planning weddings. We have the Ashobi, Ashobi, which is pretty much where like the families, they wear matching ankara, matching cloth, fabric. The bride will have her own girls wear like matching fabrics. And in a way, it's kind of like how you identify who's who. Like the bride's mother will have her friends and associates also wear like matching fabrics, and it's just so colorful. Especially the traditional wedding is very colorful. And I think just like in India, like their wedding is also very colorful. Number 5, we have ruka ceremonies as well, but we don't call it ruka. We call it introduction. Because I noticed on there, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Sorry, I can't remember his name, but when he finally chose the girl, they had a ruka ceremony where the two families met, and it was almost like a thing. Like they met each other, exchanged gifts, all that good stuff. And in our culture, we have the same thing where we call it introduction, and that's where the two families they meet, and then the groom brings gifts to the bride and her family. And so that's what, and then that happens before the actual wedding. So we have the introduction and then the wedding. Just like in the Indian culture, they have the ruka ceremony, or South Indian culture. I don't know if it's all Indian culture. They have the ruka ceremony and then the actual wedding. Number 6 is dowry is involved as well, but in our culture, in Nigerian culture, the man pays the dowry, not the woman. So for us, the man pays the dowry. The bride's family, they come up with a list of what they want from the groom, because the understanding is that since you're coming to take their daughter, and they put so much money into their daughter, from like her education to values that they placed in her, they raised her up to this point, and you're coming to take her to bring to your family. And you're coming to take her to bring her to your family. Just since they're losing her in a way, they're like, okay, well, we put all this money into raising her. This is how much she's worth, and this is how much we expect from you in order to come and take our daughter from us. Number 7, the woman is expected to come into the man's family, and it's also the same thing with the Indian culture, where you're kind of, the woman, you're expected to sacrifice the most, where you leave your house, your family, and come into this man's family and you live with them. And I know, like in the older times, that's how it was, where you literally leave your house and then you come into the man's family. I mean, now in the town we're in right now, you get married, you go into, you and your husband start your own life together, and that's that. But it's that same thing where, like, traditionally, that's how it is supposed to be too, where like you're leaving your family to come into this man's family. Number 8, we also call older people aunties and uncles, even if they're not related to you. And I noticed I did that a lot. The matchmaker, all of them pretty much called her auntie. Whether she's related to you or not, you call her auntie because she's your elder. So we do that too, where like, and it's a sign of respect, calling the elders aunties and uncles. So number 9, family values also come in play when selecting a spouse. So a lot of times it's the same thing where it's a big thing too, like making sure that who you're trying to marry also share the same family values that you do. And I noticed here also it was the same thing where it came up a lot. They had to make sure that whoever, like, the person's, when reading the person's bio data, that their values, their family values also align with yours, because it's also very important. Because with the whole thing where you're marrying two families, it's important to make sure that the family values is very similar. And number 10, parents prefer their children to marry into a good home. And I noticed there were some people, I think one guy, I forgot all their names. One guy, he, because his father, his parents were divorced, his father went to jail for 10 years for trying to, for premeditated murder. He was in jail, and then he was really worried about telling the girl, his family background, because it is something that's frowned upon. Parents want their kids to marry into a home where there's two parents, there's no divorce, there's no issues, there's no sickness in the family, like good reputation. is so important. Like, they take it so serious in in my culture as well. They take it very serious, and sometimes it's a make or break for some families. It's not even about the person you're marrying; it's about the family. And I know that the matchmaker said that like the son shouldn't suffer for the dad's bad behavior, but a lot of times they don't even see it that way. It's almost as though, well, if family is good, the person is good. If family is bad, the person is bad. It's not like so. Yeah. So like in my like in my culture, some families think like that as well. So it's really interesting just to see. And I love Indian culture, and I know like with my work, like we have different celebrations. We celebrate Diwali, and we all get to like really dress up in the different Indian attires and learn a little bit about the Indian culture and history and all of that. And it's just always fun, like and I just love how like vibrant, colorful the weddings are. I love Indian food, and it's just so interesting just knowing that aside from like how we look, like we hold so much, like we have so much in common when it comes to like traditions, family values, education, how we take education very serious as well, just like they do. I know that's not part of that's actually part of marriage as well. Like when it comes to marriage, I bet you said that can be like a bonus number 11. Education is also important when it comes to choosing a spouse. Like the more educated you are, the higher the more valued you are as well. And that's how we are as well. Like education is, if you're educated, you are valued, you're a hot commodity as well. So we have a lot in common. I really enjoyed watching it because I felt like I related so well to it, like, and yeah, it was just interesting. Like I'm like, wow, we do that too. Yeah, we think like that as well. It was fun. It was nice watching it, and so yeah, I'm sure there's a ton more we have in common that I didn't talk about. And if you have any similarities that you can think of that I didn't mention, comment below. And also don't forget to share, subscribe, like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.